My next Patreon question comes from Sonia, who is curious about why certain movies are considered derivative and others aren't. One of the main complaints about The Good Dinosaur is that it's derivative of other movies, like Lion King, The Land Before Time, and Bambi, just to name a few. I'm thinking, so by that reasoning, shouldn't Lion King and Land Before Time also be bad movies? They both have tropes and plot lines similar to Bambi, like the parent getting killed off. And then there's the whole Kimba thing with Lion King, as well as being very similar to Shakespeare's Hamlet. The same could be said for Coco and The Book of Life, yet Coco doesn't get very many derivative story complaints. The Secret Life of Pets has been similarly criticized for being just an animal version of Toy Story. Toy Story is not the first story movie to have sentient toys. Pinocchio, Velveteen Rabbit, Child's Play, anyone? It even has elements that are similar to the Brave Little Toaster, ergo sentient objects trying to get back to the owner. But no one seems to cry a ripoff about that. It all boils down to this. Why do movies like The Lion King, The Land Before Time, Coco, and Toy Story get a pass for having similar storylines, plot elements, concepts as earlier films, while movies like The Good Dinosaur and The Secret Life of Pets don't? That's an excellent question. She's not wrong that certain movies get praised in spite of being similar to other movies, while others are looked down upon. Especially when you think about it, there are only a small number of stories out there in the world. So let's use one of her examples, The Secret Life of Pets. When the theatrical trailer for that film was released, many people immediately compared it to Toy Story, and that both centered on characters who do things when the owners are away, the main protagonist finds himself fishing for attention when someone new enters the picture, and they both end up lost and try to make their way back home. Over the course of the film, they then bond and become good friends. A lot of people derided The Secret Life of Pets for this plot, but I personally did not have a problem with that. It's not like Toy Story was the first film to feature two characters at odds with each other who end up befriending each other on a road trip. In fact, when they were making Toy Story, the filmmakers admitted they watched films in which two mismatched partners have to work together, like 48 Hours and The Defiant Ones. It's also not the first movie about characters who have secret lives when we're not looking. It's certainly likely The Brave Little Toaster was brought up in conversation, seeing as John Lasseter was already familiar with the short story, and Joe Ranft had co-written the animated film version. People have brought up the similarities between the entire Toy Story series and The Brave Little Toaster, but very few of them have docked points from the movies for this. So, in regards to The Secret Life of Pets, there was definitely an attitude that it was unoriginal, and I agree with Sonia that this accusation is not entirely fair. She brought up The Good Dinosaur, which was also called derivative. And yes, you have plot points that bring to mind The Lion King, The Land Before Time, and Homeward Bound, The Incredible Journey. Was Peter Sohn influenced by those movies? It's certainly possible. I admit I cannot help but think of The Lion King regarding a certain scene. However, in the context of the main character Arlo's arc, it's understandable why the filmmakers would decide to go in that direction. The truth is, when you're making a movie, you cannot keep ripping your hair out trying to avoid things other movies have already done. So many movies exist, and every story has been told. After all, I still like romantic comedies, even though many of them use the same formula and story beats that have been passed down since Frank Capra's It Happened One Night. I think what matters is the execution. I was not the biggest fan of the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, partly because I thought the whole road trip plotline, with him teaming up with a normal human, was not done in a way that felt refreshing or inventive. Bohemian Rhapsody also did not do much for me, because it took a music band's interesting life and turned it into every other musician biopic out there. In fact, if you watch the comedy Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story, you won't be able to look at any music biopic the same way again, because of how it nails the many cliches of the genre. So yes, I have fallen prey to this line of thinking too. It's an important topic to discuss though, especially as more filmmakers become inspired by past works. Let me know in the comments what you think, and thank you for your question, Sonia.